This guy just assaulted me.
Who decides who is a biological male and a biological female? Your argument is stupid. Your point of view is stupid. I think you're killing people. I know that you're killing people by asking what is a man and a woman.
Ladies and gents, welcome back to episode 3 of Common Ground Conversations, where the goal is to ask the important but controversial questions and find common ground. Today, I'm a little out of breath. We are at Flinders Street Station, Fed Square, Melbourne CBD, and we're going to be asking, what is a man and what is a woman? Let's go. All right, a brief introduction here to give you some context before jumping into today's main conversation. Wow, were some people triggered by the question, including the gentleman that you're about to see, but honestly, it is an important one to ask. A large portion of our conversations revolve not so much around just answering the question directly, but rather why the question was important in the first place, and that gives you an idea as to why the conversation you're about to see takes the turns that it does. Now, having said that, with regard to people's answers, some said a man was anyone who identified as a man, a woman was anyone who identified as a woman. Meanwhile, others said that there was an element of biology to it. So what do you think? What is a man? What is a woman? Let us know in the comment section below and let's get a conversation started. And we spoke to a variety of very interesting people, but number one spot goes to my beloved Doug on screen. After a rocky start, a claim of assault, a brief run-in with the police and a cheeky wave to the camera, we finally got stuck into things.
Do you
Enjoy.
have a position? What do you think about this?
I'm asking you a question.
Well, I'm the one here asking
You're
questions.
not a Christian.
I'm not a Christian.
You're not a Christian. What importance is it to you whether a person is a man or a woman? Or identifies
Okay,
as a man or a
I'll tell
woman?
you. So I think that it's important to distinguish between biological males and biological females in a lot of instances. Say, for example, with change rooms. Say, for example, with conscription. Say, for example,
room.
with sports. Yep.
Why?
So do you think that biological males should be able to use the same change rooms as biological females?
What difference would it make?
I think that biological females should be able to have a space where when they're getting changed, and perhaps they're at their most
Like in
vulnerable,
Germany.
if you'd like to let me finish.
Like in Germany,
What, like in Germany?
where males and females, young and old, all go into the same sauna, strip naked, and sit there sweating, and then go naked and jump into a pool. And they've been doing that for centuries. Sweden, same. So what difference
Are
does
you
it
saying
make?
that there are no biological male and biological female change rooms in Sweden?
No, I am saying that males and females share facilities because we are all basically human beings.
So do you think that you should be able to use the same bathroom as a biological female?
I do at home. I did this morning.
So do you think here, let's say,
I used it this morning.
There are plenty of biological females
I
here.
use gender-neutral bathrooms all the time.
Do you
Never
think-
had a problem.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a problem?
I haven't had a problem.
So
No.
what's the problem?
Well, I would like, for example, I have a mother, I have 2 younger sisters, and I think they should have the right to have a space where if they want to get changed without there being a biological male there, they have the right to do so.
Fine.
Great, we just found common ground, that's good. So, but that would imply that there would be a biological male bathroom and a biological female bathroom.
Who
would it not?
decides?
Well, I'm saying we're having
Who
a conversation.
decides?
Do you think it's a good idea?
Who decides who is a biological male and a biological female?
Well, let's say that we were able to distinguish that a biological male has XY chromosomes and a biological female has XX chromosomes.
So what if you have XXY or
Intersex individuals?
XYY?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So how do we make sure they're included? Say, for example, let's say that there was an intersex individual who...
what?
Intersex?
Yep.
Yeah. So someone who, for example, had either
Male and female genitalia.
Yeah, or for example, they could have an XY chromosome, and
Or male or female genitalia.
if you let me finish, they might have an XY chromosome where the portion of the Y chromosome that's responsible for the male phenotype developing a penis, there might be an abnormality there which results in them looking more female-like, right? So they might not actually have a penis, as an example. What do we do with those in those instances? What do you think? Should we include them? Say, for example,
I think we should treat them like human beings.
I
and
agree.
stop walking
I
around
agree.
with stupid bloody signs making an issue of this.
Well, I think that's your position.
You're more than entitled to
Yeah.
think that it's
I
a
mean,
stupid sign.
what
I think it's
drives
an
you-
important sign.
what
I mean,
drives you-
that's why I'm here.
What drives you to stand up in public with what is a man?
I'll make it very clear. I think there's an important distinction to be made between biological males and biological females.
Why?
If you let me finish, I'll tell you. Say, for example, with the change room instance, I think biological females should be able to get naked and get changed without having a biological male there. Say, for example,
So what's your definition of a biological male?
I've just told you, XX chromosome, XY chromosome.
So you're going to
Sex.
do chromosomal.
Sex.
You're going to do chromosomal checks on everybody using a bathroom.
No, not necessarily. Let's say that we
Then
could.
how are you going to tell? You just said that you're going to use chromosomes to judge whether a person is male or female. Does that mean that you're going to invade somebody's privacy and do a chromosomal check before they use the bathroom?
Look, this is a logistical consideration, right? So if we
No, it's a serious question.
I
Are
know,
you or
I
are
know.
you not going to do chromosomal checks?
No, I won't.
So what's the problem? Why are you standing here talking about something
I've
that's
just
never
told you.
going to happen?
I've just told you.
You didn't explain
What do you mean?
it.
What do you mean that's not going to happen? We currently have bathrooms that are separated
Yeah.
by male and female.
Yeah, but
And-
we
and-
don't
and-
do
and-
chromosomal checks. So if a male person who identifies as female goes into a female bathroom, what's the problem?
So you are you a male or a female? If you don't mind me asking. I'm happy to share.
Yeah.
If you're happy to share.
Yeah.
I'm a biological male. Are you
good.
a biological male or a biological female? You don't want to share.
What difference does it make?
Why?
How does it affect the conversation between us?
Well, it doesn't affect our conversation.
Oh, good.
Hopefully you're treating me
Then
like
it
a human
doesn't-
being and I'm treating you like a human being.
Good.
I'm saying that.
All I'm
if-
saying is treat people like human beings.
I agree.
Good.
But I also think that there's an important distinction to be made between a biological female and a biological male.
Why?
If a biological female comes here and says she wants to use the change room when she's at her most vulnerable naked, getting changed.
Why is a person at their most vulnerable naked?
Okay, well, I think that's a rather silly question.
Sorry?
I think that's a rather silly question.
Do you?
Do you not think that females are more exposed and vulnerable and particularly vulnerable to sexual assault when they are naked in change rooms compared to, say, walking around here with clothes on?
Where do women get raped most?
Sorry, so if we could just move to one side, thank you.
Where do women get raped most?
I wouldn't be able to tell you.
In alleyways and in homes. They get raped and assaulted by people in their own homes. Now, if a woman isn't safe in her own home...
By who? By who?
By people they know.
By who?
By people they know.
And what sex are those people usually?
Does it matter?
Yes, it does.
Why?
They're usually male. Right?
How do you know them are?
Male to female. If you were to take now, correct
Have
me
you
if I'm
done?
wrong.
Have you done chromosomal checks?
Correct me if I'm wrong. If you took, say, for example, if you looked at the offenders of rape against females, right? People who rape females, are they biological males or are they biological females?
Who knows?
Right, okay. I don't think this is a particularly constructive conversation. I would say large majority of them are biological males.
Where's your evidence?
I don't think it would be very difficult to find that evidence.
Really?
Yeah.
You think there is chromosomal evidence out there to prove that the people
No,
in
I
jail
don't
for
think we
rape...
need. I think they tend to have penises. The people who rape.
So anybody that has a penis is a male. I thought you said
usually,
it depended on the chromosomes.
Well, typically.
No,
people,
no. It doesn't depend on the chromosomes or on the penis.
Typically, those who have XY chromosomes without any abnormalities.
No, it doesn't
have a
depend on the
penis.
chromosomes or the penis.
I would say it would probably come down to if you have functioning XY chromosomes, you tend to have a penis. Right? I don't
Can.
know. That seems to be biology
Can.
101.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not a definite rule.
Like I said, I don't think this conversation is particularly productive, and I don't
I
think
think
sound
it's wonderful
all that-
because you don't seem to know what you're talking about. But you're
So-
standing here with the sign.
What do you think I'm missing?
You're missing the whole fact that we're human beings and that
I
we
don't think
should
so.
live as human beings.
Okay, well, I appreciate your contribution to the conversation.
How many years of human existence have females needed female change rooms and female toilets?
I don't know. What do you think?
I would say that we have been human beings for approximately, rough guess, 250,000 years. And I would say that female change rooms and female toilets have been invented in the last 200 years. I think you're making a whole big fuss over nothing.
Tell that to the females who've been raped.
What's rape got to do with it? We're talking about changing rooms.
Do you not think that females
You're
are...
talking about changing rooms. Do you want to talk about rape?
I think that females
Are you changing the subject?
No.
Am I incorrect in
finish.
saying that for the entire of human existence as a human species, since we left Africa, for only the last 200 or so years, we have had female changing rooms and female toilets?
I actually don't know the history. I don't know when change rooms
You don't
started.
know.
No, I
But
don't.
you're discussing this and you don't know.
Yeah, which is why I'm asking the question.
Okay. 250,000 years of no separate change rooms and nothing changed. It didn't make any difference to the amount of rapes. It didn't change any difference to the amount of assaults. 200 years change rooms.
What do you mean? Didn't make any difference?
Well, the same amount of rapes and assaults happened
As when?
as in the last 200 years when we've had separate change rooms
Do
and
you have,
toilets.
do you have statistics to back that up? Or-
Yep.
So is your claim that there's been no difference in the prevalence of rape
None
with the
whatsoever.
change in us
Yeah,
separating?
and we need to address rape and assault as a serious problem, not be sidelined into this
Well,
stupid...
it doesn't sound like you're very serious about it, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. So,
Why not?
Well, so for example, with giving biological females a
How many German women get raped in saunas?
I wouldn't be able to tell you.
No.
I don't know.
None. Men and women sharing a sauna, both naked, both completely oblivious to the other.
Do you think if a female wants a female-only sauna, they should be allowed to create one?
If she wants to go and find one, yeah.
Okay. Should the
Same
same
with the
thing?
male.
Should the same thing be applied to change rooms? If females want to have a female-only change room?
Yep. And if my trans female friends want to use a female-only toilet, then they should be allowed to.
So if they have a penis,
Yep.
and a biological female says, "I don't feel particularly safe,"
Then
getting
she goes into a cubicle and gets changed.
Interesting.
How many transsexual rapes happened in Australia last year?
I don't know.
None. None. Not one. Kind of makes your whole argument stupid, doesn't it?
Well, there have been reports of sexual assaults.
Yep, no. How many happened?
There have been reports of
Yeah,
sexual...
there have been reports. How many happened? How many
Are
convictions
you-
were there for transsexual rape in a change room
Well,
or a toilet
Yeah,
last
so
year?
say for example, that there are instances of male prisoners, biological male prisoners, who have transitioned or identified
Yeah.
as a woman.
How many
And then-
how
and
many
if-
how many
if you
women
let- if you let
how
me
many
finish,
how many
if-
women got raped by transsexual people in a change room or in a toilet last year?
I don't know. I
None.
don't know the statistic. So what are you trying to? What's the point that you're
Your
trying to make?
argument is stupid. Your point of view is stupid. You are stirring up trouble for transsexual people who just want to live their lives. Why can't you leave it at that?
That's your position.
Why can't you take your sign off, pack up your stupid camera, and leave, rather than making a fuss?
I think it's an important question to ask.
Why? What is it? What point does it serve?
Well, I feel like I'm repeating myself now. So
Yeah, but try it again. What point does standing here
why do
serve?
you think I'm doing it? Based on what I've said, if you've been listening to me, why do you think I'm doing it?
I think you dislike transsexual people and you're afraid of them, probably because
Why do you think that? Like I
You're asking me what
say,
I think.
Say for example, I had a lovely I have a lovely conversation with a trans woman earlier today.
Good.
Who was very respectful.
Mm.
I was very respectful of her. We explored all of these questions,
Yep.
and there wasn't any kind of hostility between us.
Because I have known transsexual people who have killed themselves because they couldn't cope with the kind of attitude from people like you, and people killing themselves over stupid people who stand out in the street with a stupid sign pisses me off.
Why do you think asking what a man and what a woman is is so
Because
transphobic.
it's a pointless question. It has no point.
Well, that's your position.
What-
like
what-
I said, I think it does
What
have
difference? Okay, what's the point?
Okay, this will be the last time that I'll say it. I think there's
No. Explain. Don't just say the same thing over and over again. Explain it to me in simple terms so I understand it.
Okay, I'll be as simple as possible. There is an important distinction to be made between biological males and biological females. And the reason why we draw that distinction, there are a number of reasons. One such reason is that in an instance, for example, with change rooms, where biological...
Change rooms are out. We've dismissed it. Keep going with your reason.
Well, you've dismissed it. I haven't dismissed it.
Okay, what's the problem with change rooms?
I think if a biological female...
You think?
Yeah.
No, not what you think. What is the problem?
What do you mean? What?
What actual problem is there with trans people in change rooms?
Well, I believe...
No, what is the problem? Not what you believe.
Sure,
I believe.
I'll try and
I
rephrase it.
believe
I'll try and
that
I can try and
man
rephrase
over there is a lizard monster.
I can try and rephrase it.
It's nonsense.
I can try and rephrase it.
Yep. Give me evidence.
The problem is that biological females ought to be able to have a change room where, when they're particularly exposed to being sexually assaulted, there are no penises in the vicinity.
Yep. Good. Fine. So you're okay with trans women using change rooms?
If they have a penis, no.
What's a penis got to do with it? What is your actual problem with women using women's change rooms?
It depends what you mean by woman.
What do you mean by a woman?
Why do you think I'm here? What is a woman is the question that I'm asking,
Yeah.
which you've had, a particularly extended opportunity to try and explain. Yeah. So like, if you'd like me to finish, I would say that I think there is an important distinction to be made between biological males, biological females.
I'm asking you what that distinction is. Not what you think, what it actually is. Specify with evidence what you think the difference is.
Well, so the large majority of the population, I believe, do you know what percentage is intersex?
Yep.
What is it?
From memory, it's about 0.4%.
0.4%? Okay, maybe at this point in the video, we'll pop a stat up and we'll try and find what exactly it is. Very small percentage of the population.
Tiny.
Yep. Large majority of the population are either male or female. Typical male or female, in the sense that they have XX chromosomes for female, XY chromosome for male. I'm glad that we found common ground there. So, large majority, XX chromosome female, XY chromosome male. XY chromosomes, they also present with a physical penis, and they can't bear child, right? Can we agree on that so far? That's for a biological male? No. What have I missed there?
Some biological males do have wombs and can produce children.
Are these trans individuals?
Yeah.
Right, okay. See,
Intersex.
I would... Well, hold on a second. Now we're getting... There's a difference between trans and
Yep.
intersex.
Yep.
So I try and draw a distinction there between... When we're talking just about sex,
Yep.
we've got biological male on one side, biological female on the other side, and then we've got those intersex individuals there. And then beyond that, if we're not talking about sex, we also have trans men and trans women.
But we're talking about sex, gender, and, male and female.
Right, yeah. Well, so we can...
There are a grey
what would you say is-
scale. It goes from black to white.
Yeah.
But it goes through thousands.
In terms of male and
it goes
female,
through thousands of shades of grey in between.
So do you want to maybe come further this way so we can hear you?
Anybody and everybody.
I just want to make sure we can be heard. Christian, do you think we can move this way a little bit? I just want to make sure we can hear him. Hey, thanks for being patient, guys. I appreciate it.
Who decides on that scale of grey from black
Are we
to
talking
white?
about sex or gender?
No, we're talking about the scale of grey between male and female.
Speaking biologically? Or are we talking gender?
No, we are talking Arnold Schwarzenegger versus, I don't know, Nigella Lawson.
I don't know who that is.
Okay.
But is this
You
is
don't
this
know Nigella Lawson?
I know. Is this sex? This is where I get confused.
Okay.
Right? Do you see a difference between sex and gender?
Name a very feminine female that you know.
My mum.
Okay. Arnold Schwarzenegger, your mum. Okay.
Interesting analogy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
We'll
yeah.
see where it goes.
And then we have a massive scale of grey. It goes from black to off black to more like a rainbow.
A spectrum of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A
Are we
spectrum.
talking in terms of like masculine and feminine?
Very big German yacht race. Very big German yacht race. Violet, blue, green, yellow, red, orange. Yeah. That's the spectrum. And there are all shades in that spectrum. And there are all varieties of human beings. Yeah. I can grow a beard, other people can't.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So
I mean, all we need to do is look around, right? And there's an
So-
infinitude of.
So who makes that decision of what is the cutoff point?
for sex?
No, for saying the person at this end is a male, the person at that end is a male, and somewhere in there, somebody wants to put a line,
category.
build a wall, and
Yeah.
say this is that is
This
that.
something else.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay, so this is good because I feel like even the nature of our conversation, it's different from where we're at the beginning. So just so that you know, the reason why we're asking these questions, we think they're important but controversial questions, but the goal is to find common ground.
I think you're killing people.
So
Actually, I don't think that you're killing people. I know that you're killing people
by asking what is a man,
by
what is a woman,
asking what is a man and a woman. So how do you feel about that?
I don't think that I am in asking
Really?
this question. Yeah. What makes
So-
you think that I'm killing people by
Because
asking what is a man,
making
what is
this
a
a
woman?
controversial question is endangering the lives of trans people.
What do you mean making it a controversial?
Making it controversial. Standing out in the street with a big placard and asking people the question raises the level of risk for trans people.
Interesting.
It should not be a question. It shouldn't
We
be
shouldn't
an
we shouldn't
issue.
ask the question.
You shouldn't ask. We shouldn't need to ask the question. We should accept that there is a range of people,
Agreed.
from red to violet, or infrared to violet,
Entire
and
spectrum
that
across many dimensions.
across many dimensions, up and down,
Yeah.
side to side.
And this is where we find common ground. And
Yeah.
something that I appreciate in your
and you
position is
stop,
that
you stop making it an issue, and you start saying, why is it a problem? Change your sign to say, why?
what would you say then?
Sorry?
What would you have on the sign? If you wanted, like you
I
knowing
would-
my position so far,
I would.
What would you have on the sign?
I would basically stand here in a frock and
In a frock.
wait until somebody had a go at me. And I've gone out with my trans mates and done that.
As in, wait, I don't quite know. Sorry, sir. If you could move to one side, we're just filming here. So, given what you know about my concerns, say for
No, I
example,
don't know what your concerns are.
what I said about the change rooms.
Yeah, but that's nonsense.
Well, that I think we're going to struggle to find any kind of constructive conversation if you think that my position is nonsense.
We've got a spectrum of people who make. Why are you saying you can make the line as to who is a woman and who is a man?
Well, I'm trying to understand why people have a line and where
But
they
you're
draw the
saying
line.
you have a line.
Yeah, I know. And I've told you my position.
Yeah,
But that's why I'm here
your
to ask.
position? Or can you
With
change?
regard to change rooms,
Yeah. Can you say there is a wide spectrum and people should be allowed to choose? And if a woman wants to get changed in a cubicle, then she gets changed in a cubicle. Be she what is loosely termed male or loosely termed female, she has the right to go into a cubicle and get changed.
I'm not sure we're going to find common ground on the change room part.
What?
But
you think we should have changing cubicles?
Can I ask another question where we might
Yep.
find common ground? Say, for example, with conscription. Currently, it's to my understanding, it's biological males who can be conscribed, I believe is the verb. If
Can be
conscripted. I
conscripted.
think might be the word. Yeah. If a female were to transition to being a woman, transition to being a man, do you think that they should be conscripted?
No.
Sorry, man, if you could move over. We're just filming over here. We're talking about this.
We're talking
What is a
about
man and what is a woman? Yeah. Feel free to stick around if you want to have a conversation after this, gentleman.
No. Totally opposed.
What's your name? by the
Doug.
way? Doug. Rich. Nice to fist bump. Nice to meet you, Doug. What would your position be there?
I don't think anybody should be conscripted.
Assuming that conscription is happening if we go to war.
I'd be opposed to it.
I sense it's going to be hard to find common ground there as well. So I'm going to try one more. I have one more
Do you
situation.
support conscription?
Yeah, I think like
That's a tough one. I believe that if people...
In your lifetime, have you ever been at risk of being conscripted?
Let's say that I were conscripted. Would I support it? Any conflict that can be resolved without violence, 110%, I'm all for it.
Totally
Okay,
agree. Yeah,
but that's where we can
common
find common
ground.
ground. If my mother, my sisters, my wife were at physical danger of someone attacking them, would I put my body on the line to protect them? Yeah.
Have you?
No, I haven't had to. Thank goodness. Thank goodness we haven't gone to war.
What do you mean?
Well, thank goodness I haven't been conscripted.
Oh, yeah.
Have you
yeah.
been conscripted?
No, I missed out by 18 months.
If
So I volunteered.
right, what I just said, if you were in my position, would you have done the same thing?
No, I volunteered.
I don't exactly know what that means.
It means I signed on the dotted line to become a serviceman for 6 years.
To
I
go to
then
war.
re-enlisted for another 3 years.
So you would be.
A serviceman and an ex-service veteran.
So if Australia were at war,
I'd
you
go
would-
back.
Hey, thank you for your service.
I would defend every Australian, because every Australian who cannot defend themselves has the right to be defended,
I agree.
regardless
I agree.
of where they fit on the gender scale.
Agreed.
So-
That's where we find common ground.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I
And that's
have-
where
I
at the
have-
beginning when you said about
have-
connecting through shared humanity, I agree with that.
I have friends who served and are now. They served as males and they now identify as females. I have friends who served as females who now identify as males.
When you say identify as male or female, do they? I guess where I
Don't
get
ask me if they have penises or vaginas. I don't know.
where I get confused
Yeah.
is sometimes people will say I identify as a man or I identify as a woman, but then they'll also use the terms I identify as a male or I identify as a female. That's where my sense is it becomes a little bit confusing, right? Because those terms have traditionally been used for biological
Male and
biological
female are
sex.
very confusing terms.
Well, typically they've been used to describe distinct biological phenomena.
Yeah. We've treated this as a binary problem for too long. It's not a binary problem. It's not black and white. It's shades of grey. We treat it as a problem of being man, woman. It's not. It's a scale that goes across between the two groups, and there is no defining line in there anywhere, is there?
Well, that's why I think we'll disagree.
Well, okay, where would you put the defining line?
I would say that you can draw a line for biological females. You
Where?
can draw a line, like I said, XX chromosomes.
But that's been proven to
Let
be
me
wrong.
finish. XY chromosomes for males, and then there's I would say there's a third distinct category of those intersex individuals that we mentioned before.
At what point do you draw that? Yeah. If the XY chromosome
That's the same brain.
has a
Sorry,
small
Doug, I just want to make sure we capture you. Jen, sorry, if you are going to chat, if you could just move a little further back, or maybe off to the side.
if the XY chromosome has a small X 90%, 10%, X. Where does that lay on your scale?
Right. Well, that's where I would say they would be classified probably as an intersex individual. No.
Why would you do that?
Well, because if they don't have a
How would you know that?
If they don't have a typical Y chromosome,
Who's going to do chromosomal checks on every person in society?
Well, I'd say
That's going to be an infringement of liberty, isn't it?
I would say most of the time you can tell quite quickly whether someone is, and quite accurately, whether someone is a male or female.
Really?
Most of the time. Yeah. Yeah. Would you not agree with that?
I totally disagree.
Oh, really?
With that.
Okay. Well, I guess we won't.
How would you know?
I would say most of the time we have an intuition based off.
Yeah, but
Yep.
that lady there. How would you know?
We have an intuition based off people's facial structures, based on their
An
skeletal
intuition.
structures. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't know. You just make a guess.
Well, yeah, a well-informed
Girls wear
guess.
pink. Boys wear.
Well,
boys wear
say
blue.
for example with yourself. I mean, if,
Two soldiers are charging at you. They're both wearing identical kit. They both have fake cam. They both have a helmet. How do you tell which one's a male, which one's a female?
I wouldn't be able to tell,
Exactly.
unless maybe one were to have particularly broad shoulders and be much larger, say height and weight, than the other, who might be more petite, smaller shoulders, wider hips.
So a bantam soldier would be different to a Russian woman.
I don't know what those two are.
Okay.
I know
Bantam,
what a Russian
the
woman
Bantam,
is.
the Bantam battalion.
What's a Bantam?
Was made up in the First World War of short men because they fitted better in trenches, they were better in tunnelling, and they used less fabric in their uniforms. The Russians had squadrons of women who were big, powerful, muscly women.
Yep.
Probably about a foot and a half difference in height, massive shoulders, massive strong women, small men, specifically very small. So your judgment is completely wrong.
My intuition might be wrong in an instance
It is.
like that.
It
Yeah.
is. Yep. Yep.
But
You wouldn't know.
I didn't say it would be 100%
You
accurate.
wouldn't know.
Like what I said.
So you're judging people and you don't know.
If I could clarify my position, I would say that, say for example, a large majority of these people walking across the road, based on their facial structure, their facial hair, their skeletal structure, their even the fat distribution between male and female is different. The hip to waist ratio, all of the even
You're
the.
saying that my daughter, who has far more muscle
If I
structure-
just finish, if
My daughter
you
who has
could say your
far-
piece
far-
right after I finish mine, if you could just
Yeah, but
let me finish my piece and then you can say yours. Large majority of the time, my intuition as to whether someone is a biological male or biological female will be correct there. That's what I'm saying.
How do you know? You're very certain about things.
Like I said, a
Do you
large.
think your intuition is going to be correct?
Do you think that usually you can't tell between a biological male and biological female most of the time?
I think what you're using is common sense. And I
Right.
hate common sense.
Right.
Common sense,
I couldn't tell.
common sense tells you that the sun rises in the east,
Yep.
it travels over the earth, and it sinks into the west,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Doesn't do that, does it?
I honestly wouldn't know.
The earth rotates. The sun's stationary, the earth rotates. The sun doesn't rise in the east, the earth rotates towards the east. So the sun isn't coming up, the sun is basically stationary.
If I understand the point you're trying to get across, is it that common sense is sometimes wrong?
Common sense is almost always wrong.
We might not find common ground there. I would agree that common sense is sometimes wrong,
No, have a look at the
but you would say
statistics.
almost always, yeah.
Almost always wrong.
Yeah.
It has a fatal flaw in it that we believe and we trust what we see. And what we see is not what reality is. Are we standing still?
Depends relative to what.
Are we standing still?
Depends
Simple
relative
question.
to what. Relative to the ground, yes.
But we're not standing still, are we?
Or relative to the ground, we are.
Are we?
Relative to the ground, yes.
Relative to the ground.
Do you think we're
The
not standing
ground's
still
moving.
relative to the ground?
The ground's moving.
Well, relative to the ground, you and I aren't.
Yeah. We're moving.
Wait, now you agree with me?
No, we're moving.
Oh, goodness.
Our feet may be in contact with the ground, but we're moving
Relative to what?
relative to the ground.
Doug, I do want to make sure that these people who've been waiting a while get an opportunity as well.
I would really like you to pack up and go home.
But I'm not going to.
I would really appreciate it if you packed up and you stopped making this a big issue and you just went, look, what we're going to do is show respect for trans people regardless of anything else, and we will just accept that they exist in our community.
Which I do.
The same way. Yeah, that doesn't say that.
Why not? Why is it trans
Because it raises
exclusionary?
the issue. It raises the level of fear, it raises the level of anger, it raises the level
I
of
don't think
threat.
so. I don't think so.
I do. That has
And
been
you're
my
entitled to that
experience.
position. You're entitled to that position, Doug.
Trans attacks.
How would you feel about having these people also be a part of the conversation? Because maybe you could convince them of your position. Because
I shouldn't have to convince them, should I? It should just be.
But if they disagree with you, how are we
this
supposed to?
exclusionary shit, right? What are you asking? Like, what is a man, right?
I'm genuinely asking, what is a man? Doug, thank you for your time.
Is it
Take care.
man any?
About how many people you're killing. Will you do
It's
that?
a societal concept, right?
Well, yeah.
fuck
I mean,
off
what
with
do
your
you what do you
trans.
think is a man?
Will you
I think the
think about
feminism
how
is
many
next
people
world
you're
movement.
killing?
What's that?
Will you think about how many people you're killing?
I don't think I'm killing people and
I know
having this
that's
sign.
the problem. Will you think about how many people?
I've thought about it. I
No.
don't.
Not I have thought. Will you think?
I will give it some thought.
Okay. You are raising an issue that kills people.
Thank you for your time, Doug. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching through to the end. If you liked this conversation or think we should be having more of this type of conversation, then do drop us a like on the video. And if you enjoy watching these types of conversations, then hit the subscribe button below as well to be notified when we drop our next episode. That said, it is adios from me. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.